Yo, it's good as Nutty. Let's get right into it, y'all. So we was looking good, right? I was practicing my league starter. It's game time. I'm ready to go. I'm getting some nice runs in, starting to get the flow. I'm getting ready to talk to y'all about what my league starter is. While I'm mid run yesterday, my boys hit me. Hey, yo, new gems just dropped. So I get to go. I'm like, all right, let me finish my quick run real quick. Check out the new gems, and all my plans changed. I got hit with that change of plans that I didn't really want to see, but I'm very happy because I got to see the data for elemental hit of the spectrum finally. And this gem, yes, 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 yes. And so this video, I am not going to, this is not a guide video. This is not me telling you, here's how you play the character, here's what works. Nope, I ain't doing none of that. What I'm here to do is to point out why this gem is good, what my theory behind how I'm going to build it is going to go based on experience that I've had with other gems that scale similarly to this. And then I'm just going to kind of like set it free and I'll check back in a couple days once I've played the character, right? Because League starts in 2 fucking days. I'm just going to play the character and then I'll tell you about how it goes. But for now, here's why this gem needs to be on your radar at the very least. If you're not planning on starting it already because of something you've heard, maybe this inspires you, or maybe you're like, you know what, I'm going to check back in a week to make sure this gem isn't buns, and then I'm going to play it myself later, right? Whatever it may be, that's what this video is for. I have no intention of trying to like explain a full video and whatnot. Nope, 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 nope. None of that. So back to the gem, right? Look at the gem. The major thing that we got to talk about is that it's not prismatic. Base elemental hit is a prismatic gem, and therefore it cycles between the damage types. Fire, cold, fire, lightning, right? Like it's back and forth. This one is just all three. You just have a lot of flat of all three all the time. And now here's the real question. How much flat is this, right? Is this a lot of flat? Is this some flat? How much flat are we talking about here? So, to get an idea, I made a bow. It's the first thing I did when I saw the gem. This bow here gives roughly the same amount of flat. It's actually less flat. It's ever so slightly less flat than what the gem actually gets because it was difficult for me to get this to work properly. But it's less flat than the gem gives at T2 on a bow. You know, the tiers that were buffed back in Arc Nemesis League to make LE bows strong again. And so if we're getting this much flat on the gem, what can we do, right? What can we pull off with gems like that, right? If we're talking about skills that already work, right? Lightning Arrow is a skill that we know works. Why does Lightning Arrow work? I can't believe I messed up that typing there. Why does this not want to give me... I'm leaving this in, by the way. I guess it's because of the tag. I'm leaving this in so you can see that error and now you know. But more importantly, we can see here that this gem has some flat on it. It's got the shock thing and the clear stuff. But the major thing that really sticks out on this gem is 154% added damage effectiveness. That's basically pretty close to what we get when we talk about the new elemental hit, right? It has no actual elemental added damage effectiveness, but through the modifier at 2020, it'll be 15% more per ailment. Very easy to apply 3 between shock, chill, and ignite. And you can actually also freeze on top of that for 4. And you could even then, you know, scorch or brittle or sap if you can to add more to that. So 45 to 60. So 145 to 160 is a pretty reasonable range for added damage effectiveness, which is pretty close to Lightning Arrow. And all Lightning Arrow really would have over this is a bow and the 9 to 179 added lightning damage, right? So we're looking at a gem that almost objectively is just inferior to Elemental Hit. And we love this gem. So Elemental Hit has to be good then, by extension of that. But let's take that a step further, right? We're talking about bow flat on a gem. And so I was like, I wonder, if we have bow flat already, we have a certain amount of flat. You no longer need flat like that anymore. You know what you need instead? Attack speed, crit, pen, percent damage. Welcome to Piscator's Vigil, everybody. And this is how I ended up with it being Wander. That's the whole theory craft right there. Now, like, I cut the video right there, but I want to go a little bit deeper just to give some other ideas around how this goes. But generally, even if you were to use a rare, attack speed, crit, pen, percent damage. That's the recipe for making a weapon that builds into this well. Because we do not need flat. the gem covers our flat. Additionally, +1 level, whether that be +1 socketed on like a bow or a chest piece or a helmet or something, or +1 all on our amulets, is also, 8 to 12% damage increase on Ellie hit, depending on the level it's already at. A really high-end option for this is going to be Replica Dragon Fangs for this reason. So we now have a skill with a ton of flat damage, ability to apply the ailments itself like very easily for all sorts of other purposes, like chance to freeze for triggering Herald of Ice while leveling, for example, right? And then it scales easily with stats that we are pretty easy to get in tiers that actually are efficient enough without needing to really like break the back trying to get high tier flats on our weapons. All right, so then what do we do with it? Well, I like to wand because I like speed. Bow is objectively stronger numerically, but it lacks in the speed department, as well as it is kind of socket starved in progression. So I'm going to do wand, right? Boom. And so that's how we end up with this. The POB, I'll have my POBs in the description so you can see how I did it. And the note is that Kinetic Blast is being used because, just like with LA, it's in that right ballpark of attack damage, as well as has no flats. Like, this is just 155% added flat. So a little bit over 3 element damage, a little bit under 4 element damage. It's fine. Next up, I will be using Sacred Wisp in my non-totem setup. It will be in place of increased damage, critical damage support. You just do not see it in here because, well, it's not in the game. So it's not in the game yet, so it's not in POB yet. Therefore, I can't put it in the POB quite yet. Just know that that'll be there. Also, otherwise, the setup is pretty straightforward. How I'm setting up, scaling through Perseverance and Piscators. Carnotron is just a stat stick to carry an Anoint to give you some other stats I need. And that's just the general gist of it. The tree is pretty standard, I feel. Not really going to get into too much nitty gritty about it, except don't question this Ignite wheel. The mastery is just that broken. Trust the process on that, right? Otherwise, not going to get into too much nitty gritty here on the tree. And I just want to show that later on, I do have a plan for scaling this from like 1.5 million to 18 million. That's going to turn this into a build that is, it's suppressed capped, ailment immune. It's still a wander, so it'll still be nice and fast and zippy with some end game item upgrades in here. You can see we really like went ham on some of these pieces. Again, weapon, attack speed, crit, pen, double damage, percentage damage, things that you cannot, that are not flat. We don't need flat. And otherwise, again, regular stuff everywhere else, right? Like, I'm not going to spend too much time looking at all that. It'll be in the description for you to look at if you want to see it. And we're scaling through Shroud of the Lightless because pen, like, was in that rant, right? Again, attack speed, crit, pen, percent damage, double damage, things that we don't get from the gem. We don't get pen. This gives us pen. This is very good for us then. We can get pen, do some jewels that then have life, multi, res, whatever we need on them, right? Additionally, since we're using Shroud and we don't have a 6-link proper anymore, I was like, well, how do we get our links? Pseudo-linked items. My helmet will be housing my ballistas, and my gloves will be housing my main hand skill, like the actual clear skill that I'll be using, the clearing I'll be doing. And it's just essence plus good socketed by mods to get to really throw the damage up on the skills. That's all that there. There's not a whole lot to really like think about. I would keep an eye on your mana cost as a result of, just generally they took away the minus mana cost on rings. That's why you'll see if you look at the rings in the PLB, they're flat damages instead of minus mana cost. And that's really sad to think about. And so for us, I have a clarity that I put in my end game version with a clarity eye to get around that. Just something to think about. No idea how necessary it's going to be. Just the simulations and talking with people around me. We were all like, this is kind of a concern piece. Maybe take a moment and think about that, right? Now, earlier, I did say that bow is objectively stronger, but I'd prefer the quality of life of wands, and that's mostly in progression. Once the character starts to get really strong, I don't think I'll have the socket pressure problems, and so I'd like to consider bows, specifically a Widowhail variant, because Widowhail, this bow here, has no stats on it. But just like with builds like the Mana Forge arrow builds that we've seen them with Widowhail in the past, or if you think about we've done it with attribute stacking, we've done it with a variety of things that make Widowhail really shine. The charge stacker with like frenzy charge stacking on Slayer, things like that really highlight the power level of Widowhail at high end gear. And so I want to see if there's a Widowhail variant of Ellie hit, because we have all the flat taken care of, and I think you can get a lot of the other important bonuses like +1 arrow, like multi, like attack speed. You can get you can get percent damage. You can get prod speed. You can get synthesized impulses that go harder, right? I think you can get a lot of those necessary stats without actually having it on your bow, and then juicing your quiver with crazy numbers to really like send that through the roof. I probably shouldn't even have life on this, but I was just like quickly sampling the idea out. This is nowhere near fleshed out. I just think it might be a fun experiment for later in the league. Should I feel like, really pushing this character and it really sticks. That's like the one like additional cook I had. One last little piece that isn't my cook is that there is in fact a way to level this character already out there. Valar did a run for the rally. It was before the league was even announced, according to his like note about the run. But it's just really convenient that he happened to do a Ellie hit wander champ that is ready for us to digest and learn how to level from. And I'll include the link to this video so you can see the video and like watch him run. And he has the POV to the tree and everything included as well. You could like see how he leveled the character, because at least for me personally, this is how I'm going to be leveling this character, or at least something based on this, right? I'm going to put my experimental POVs down in the description as far as how we're going to work with this. Again, in case the disclaimer was not clear enough, this is experimental. I do not guarantee that this works. If you follow this video, you are risking your league start like I am, right? I had a sure thing that I had tested and knew that would work, and I'm willing to risk it because this gem is sick. And if you're willing to risk it with me, hey, look, let me know in the comments. Let me know how it goes. You can stop by the stream or stop by the Discord. Description down below as well for those as well. Let me know how it goes for you. I'm going to be playing it this weekend. I'm hoping it goes fantastic. I got to get out of here to go get some more stuff done so that I can continue preparing for the weekend, real life responsibilities and all that. Anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.